Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and very good afternoon to you all. Perhaps most of you now know what is Pan-Asia Research Institute, but very briefly, it is a Japan-based think tank. Currently, our focus is on South Asia, and we would like to make policy recommendations to strengthen Japan-South Asia relationship and also Japan-ASEAN relationship. Our endeavor is continuing. Recently, we have a number of seminars and roundtable discussions across India. Thanks to Professor Sravani, Professor Nondi, Professor P.A. George, Mr. Koji Sato, Mr. Rama Bhatra, and so many friends I can see that they have newly joined to our platform. Thank you so much for your significant cooperation at the time of our seminar across India. But one thing I think both in the academia as well as in the bilateral relation in terms of Japan and South Asia has never been really looked into, that is NGO contribution. And we have identified that area, one of the areas that has not yet been researched well. Therefore, this is our endeavor to have a seminar on this. Ashok Chawla Sensei, good afternoon. And therefore, we have tried to identify the right person and the right topic to be talked of. And we're so happy to OHASHI Sensei. I'll be highlighting him in details when he speaks. But another thing, I think, in terms of the timeliness of the seminar is the relationship of this seminar with Pillar 2 and 3 of the Japan New Indo-Pacific Initiative. Because Pillar 2 that speaks about the multi-layer connectivity, and second one is the knowledge and human connectivity. So NGO can be one of the strong avenues to penetrate that Pillar 2 of the NFOI. And secondly, I think this one is significant where NGO role will be critical moving forward from the perspective of Japan and all its bilateral and regional partners. That is the Pillar 3, which is addressing challenges in the Pacific in the area of climate, food security, health, disaster. So with that vision, in fact, we'll try to unmask the current reality, the past, and the future of NGO activities, Japanese NGO activities in South Asia, with particular focus to India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. As you all know that today we have the eminent panel of speakers, including the keynote speaker, Professor Masaaki OHASHI, will be with the emeritus professor of Keisen University. I'll talk about him in details when he speaks. Thanks to Dr. Arjun Kargi, former ambassador of Nepal to USA, President Rural Construction Nepal, and Global Coordinator LDC Watch. Particular thanks to Mr. Hitendra Singh, Theme Leader, the Buddha Institute India. Thanks for making your time in a very short notice. So we have a very good keynote speaker and two very eminent discussion. I hope that you all will enjoy this discussion. And we have a session for question and answer and comment as well. It will be very good to have your question and also your comment and that section. So without further ado, let me seize the opportunity to call the President of Pan-Asia Research Institute, Mr. Yuji Ando, to deliver his welcome address. Mr. Yuji Ando, please.
Mamu-san, thank you very much for your kind introduction about PARI as well as today's the sessions. This is Yuji Ando, President of Pan-Asia Research Institute. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt welcome to each of you to the second webinar on the NGO contribution. And as Dr. Mamu mentions, PARI is established back in August 2023, last year, in Bangladesh. Although we are a Japan-based think tank, most of the core members are based in Bangladesh. That's why we are focusing on the South Asia, including Bangladesh, India, and Nepal. but we are covering the Pan-Asia area as well as the multi-dimension topics, including the economy, businesses, and social development. And as I said, today is the second webinar, and we invited three very eminent and reputed professors for this seminar. Professor Ohashi Masaaki, he's one of the most famous professors on NGO and its contributions to social development in South Asia. Thank you very much, Ohashi-sensei, for your kind participation. And I would also like to invite the Dr. Arjun Kumar Kalki. Thank you very much for your kind participation to this webinar. Your presence graced the importance of this webinar from the perspective of the Nepal. And we'd like to also welcome the Mr. Hintendra Singh. Thank you very much for your participation. I hope your contribution to the discussion will bring a lot of meanings. So we are very, very looking forward to having a good discussions on NGO contribution to its area. And also, we are really looking forward to the working with you all for the future projects. We are waiting for your good proposal and suggestions to work with PARI for the future the projects or future events for more discussions about the your topics and our topics too. So thank you very much. It's over to you, Manu Sensei.
Anderson, thank you so much for your welcome address. Now I would like to request Professor Masaaki OHASHI for the keynote speech. Let me give you a bit of introduction about him. He is the emeritus professor of Keisen University, also the visiting professor of Open University of Japan, and former professor of University of Sacred Heart, Tokyo. His particular focus is international development studies, NGO NPO studies, and South Asian studies based on the NGO activities in Japan. He had been deeply involved in Shapna Needs Citizen Committee in Japan for overseas support since 1980, founded in 1972 by a group of young Japanese who helped people in Bangladesh, that time devastated by the 1907 Liberation War. This Shapna Need NGO has been working for poverty reduction in Bangladesh and Nepal. Professor OHASHI currently is co-chairperson of Japan Civil Society Network on SDGs, as well as the Pacific Asia Resources Center. He's an advisor of the JANIC, Japan NGO Center for International Cooperation, the largest NGO network in Japan. Thereby, at the beginning, I inform you that probably he's the right person to speak our seminar today about the contribution of Japanese NGOs for the socio-economic development of South Asian nations. So without further delay, let me humbly request Professor OHASHI to make his keynote presentation. Professor OHASHI, please.
Thank you very much, Maman-san.
Mute, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for kind introduction and also for invitation to this seminar. I think after this seminar, you might think that your choice was wrong. I'm not the best person to talk about this, but I try my best, based on my experience and knowledge. So let me show my PowerPoint with you. Here, let's go. Can you see this?
Yeah. Since we can see you, we can see your slides.
Okay, this is. I was wondering what kind of pictures should be shown to you on the first page. Those who are from India, this most light person in the middle is, Indian NGO network, Barney's coordinator. So I took this photo at my campus about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, when we hosted the C20 summit. Last year, India hosted the C20. So every year, whenever C20 or C7, or something like G7 or G20 takes place, usually that country's civil society was supposed to organize a kind of, C7 or C20. So this was the scene we organized C20 summit. C stands for civil society. So this is a picture of many guests from other countries, including Japan. So I'm going to talk about Japanese NGOs' contribution to social development in South Asian countries. And so this is the content of my lecture today. I just introduced myself very briefly. It was already Mamoon-san mentioned about me. And then I'm going to talk about general information of Japanese NGO for international cooperation, and the number of NGOs working in South Asian countries, and possible reason of the different numbers, and also recent phenomena. Japanese number of NGOs is reducing. So what is the reason of the reduction? I assume some reasons. Then I'm talking on India, Bangladesh, and Nepal. And since time is limited, I just pick up one or two NGOs working currently or in the past. They are working in each countries, and then conclusion. So this is my introduction. It was already mentioned that I have been an NGO activist. Especially, I spent many years in Shaprani. So Shaprani is a Bangladesh name, but the Japanese NGO. Full name is Shaprani Citizen Committee in Japan for Overseas Support. And because we have a Bengali name, because we established our NGO in 1972, immediately after the independence of Bangladesh, to assist the people of Bangladesh. And then later we expanded our activities to Nepal. So that is why we have this, and we kept this Bengali name, and we put the Citizen Committee in Japan for Overseas Support. I was working in Bangladesh on behalf of this, and I became Secretary General. And later, when I became professor, I was a board chair of this NGO, as well as Jani, he mentioned, Japan NGO Center for International Cooperation. This is like ADAB in Bangladesh, or BANI in India, or Nepal NGO Federation. So this is a kind of biggest NGO federation network. I was a chairperson for 80 years of this, and now I'm an advisor. So probably I can share with you some idea, what is Japanese NGO and what is our contribution to the South Asia. So in Japan, we have about 500 NGOs for international cooperation. And NGO means a voluntary organization working for global issues, such as humanitarian needs, social development, poverty, environment, peace or disarmament, human rights or discrimination, or gender issue, etc. And in Japan, besides NGOs, we have about 50,000 NPOs. So it stands for the non-profit organizations, and exist mainly for domestic or local issues. But this boundary between NGO and NPO are very vague. Okay, so but in general, if you say an NGO is working, that might be dealing with global issues. Of course, some NGO, local environmental NGO, can deal with local environment. So then we don't know how to call it, but usually people call it an NPO if it is dealing with local issues. Okay, and most NGO and NPOs are registered according to as a non-profit corporation or foundation or society, while a good number of them are not registered. About a few thousand NGO and NPO has a tax privilege. Not few, maybe 1,000 NGO and NPO has a tax privilege. To get this status, we have to get a special permission after registration. There is a World Giving Index 23. This is maybe European organization, and this count people's generosity to in terms of donation. So they check 142 countries, and then among these 142, Japan positioned 139. And the top the top in this area is Sri Lanka, 21st, and then followed by India, 43rd, and then Nepal, 23rd, Bangladesh, 105. I don't know whether this is credible or not, but anyhow, Japan, we usually suffer a lot because the donation culture of the people were not that much strong. So we have to rely on the donor agencies' money, recently more government money. But the more we rely on donor money, more we have to listen them. We lose our original voluntary activity ideas. So anyhow, this poor domestic culture of Japan is a serious issue, as I said. So you can see some other statistics. This was statistic was usually created by Jani, because MOFA gives some money every 5 years to make those kind of statistics. So if you see Japan's NGO establishment year, this one on the right up is a year of the establishment, a decade of establishment. So with 1990, we saw 160 NGO established, and then it was reducing and become very less or even smaller. Okay. Later I'll talk to this again, because we have a more domestic serious problems, and the more NPOs are coming up, but the NGO for international issue is not attractive for the people. So that is why new NGO are not coming up. Japan, because Japan's economy is also shrinking. And then left downward, which country, which area we are working more. Then more than 54% we are working in Asia, and then followed by Africa, Middle East, Latin America. Then which country we are working? This is right down. Philippines attract most of the NGOs. Cambodia, then India, then Myanmar, Uganda, Kenya, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Nepal. But in terms, if you consider about population size, India is not so much attracting, in terms of number of NGOs. Nepal, Myanmar is more attractive for Japanese NGO. Yes. Is it okay? Okay. So this is another statistic of, Japanese NGO working in South Asian country. Okay. You see the total number. So this is again same from the source is the same data, 2001, 2005, 2015, 2021. So then it was to 230, and it could grow to 430, and it reduced to 211. I mean, of course, this survey is not always, conducted the same way. So there is some problem but anyhow, we can see the tendency. So you see Bangladesh, it was 31, now it's 13. Very much reduced. India, it was 46, now it's 25. Pakistan, it was 15, now it's 4. Nepal, we used to have 41, 43, 48, now come down to 11. Sri Lanka, we have 21, and then 2005, we have 33 because this conflict, and then come down to 9. So total number is also 155 in 2005. It came down to only 62. So maybe there is we can assume many reasons for this reduction. One of the biggest reduction is that poverty reduction in South Asia is taking the place, while Africa more poverty is coming up, and also fortunately there is a lesser natural disasters in those areas. Probably this is one reason. And then India is a good example of the growing economy of South Asian countries, while Japan's economy is shrinking. Recently, we got the announcement that our GDP was used to be the 3, after USA and China and Japan, but now it was taken over by Germany. And then probably India also take over very soon. And also, basic reason is one of the other basic reason of shrinking number is shrinking civil spaces in South Asian countries. This one I will touch later with details. Okay. You know, if we talk about South Asian countries, general feeling for Japanese, first, for the most Japanese, South Asia is farther than Southeast Asia, not only geographically, but also psychologically too. More Japanese NGOs are working in Philippines, Cambodia, Myanmar, as I mentioned. And the Indian government is very typical that India has enough NGO and volunteers domestically. So only financial support are welcome. So that is why in comparison with a big population, only a few Japanese NGOs have established their offices in India. Usually we don't get any permission to establish office in NGO to India, while others are financially supporting Indian NGOs or CBO, CSO, sorry. And Bangladesh and the Nepal government welcome foreign NGOs. In terms of the Bangladesh welcome us since independence of 1971. Probably at that time, Bangladesh needed immense international support. And then in Nepal, since 1990, at the year of the democratization. While an international NGO can directly implement a project in Bangladesh, in Nepal, INGO are requested to function in a partner with local NGOs. This is officially requested. So that is why basically many, not only Japanese NGO, but INGO have a counterpart organizations. And you know that India introduced this famous FCRA system, that any NGO have to get prior permission to receive foreign fund in 1974, when anti-government movement was very high against the Indira Gandhi government. This was introduced to India. And then gradually, within 2-3 decades, this FCRA type control of the government gradually prevailed in all South Asian countries, even Pakistan, in the last few decades. Bangladesh call it a Foreign Donation Act. Nepal, we have to get it as a social welfare SWC registration and project agreement. So in some South Asian countries, Videshi NGO have been requested to implement a larger amount project in general and provide more hard infrastructure part in social development project and reduce number of the foreign experts. So this is the general tendency. I mean, this is a reasonable too, but for Japanese NGO, it is not quite easy. And Sri Lanka used to attract many foreign NGOs due to the conflict, but since disagreement between the government and the humanitarian organization on human rights issues after the conflict, number of the NGO has been sharply declining. So Pakistan used to attract more Japanese NGO, mainly for refugees, but in Pakistan, civil society, civil space is very much shrinking. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure some of you know all this map. This is a civil space monitor, civil space monitor introduced by Civicus. Civicus is a kind of a global network of the civil society organization globally. And the head office is in South Asia. They produce this one. So if it is a red or orange, then civil space is rather shrinking or small. The green one, it has a much wider civil space. And Japan is less green. And Nepal has better, but the India, Pakistan, Bangladesh is not good. But you can see, I mean, you can of course disagree with this, but anyhow, So this is what I'm mentioning, that the shrinking civil space is another reason why number of Japanese NGOs is reducing in general. But you know, 2 years ago, in German, when they have a G8 summit, G7 summit, Indian Modi Prime Minister also stated that free speech is very important. I'm sure that everybody agree, but how much it was well maintained is another story. So let me go to the one by one, each country. Let's start India. India, I just introduced JARMA. It's maybe very much less known to you people, even in Japan. This Mr. Miyazaki, you the right-hand side, far right. Miyazaki, Dr. Miyazaki was a Japanese medical doctor, and he was director of the Japanese government hospital, sanatorium for the Hansen disease. But he was a Christian and impressed by devotion of the British Christian missionary lady taking care of those patients. So after Dr. Miyazaki also became doctor, but he retired from government, and then he came to know that Nehru was looking for Japanese cooperation to deal with these leprosy problems at that time. And Japan's Lion Club financially assisted him to conduct a survey in 1959. And he went to India and then submitted a report to the Prime Minister Nehru. So you can see the picture with Prime Minister Nehru. So to support this, Dr. Miyazaki, a private foundation, Japan Leprosy Mission of Asia, in short, JARMA, was founded as a foundation in Japan as early as 1969, with wide assistance from Lions Club and Rotary Club, Christian and Buddhist organizations and medical persons, students, major newspapers, and even some imperial family members. This is a kind of first initiative of Japanese NGO for international cooperation. And because Japan was at that time still on the process of the recovery from the devastation of the Asia-Pacific War, which invaded Asia and destroyed there. But Japan was also very much destroyed. So Japan's annual, but at that time, 1960s is like, India or China. Japan was observing a very rapid economic recovery or the growth. 1960s annual economic GDP growth was about 10%. So that is why before that Japan was starving, but 1960s, Japan could see some first generation of the NGOs coming up. That is Japan Christian Medical Corporation, JOCS. I'm going to talk about this. It was established in 1960s. It's like Dr. Miyazaki's leprosy mission. Oyster, this is a Shinto-based organization in 1961, and the family planning, the Joseph, 1967. Okay. So this JARMA, Dr. Miyazaki and his family migrated to India, and then JARMA's Indian Center was opened 1967 in Agra, UP. This center has a 4 objectives: treatment, research, education, and training, and rehabilitation. And Japan and the Indian governments assisted them. As a number of the, there are so many leprosy patients at that time. So Indian government encouraged all the medical personnel to go to the villages and treat them outside the hospital, because number of the beds on the hospital are much smaller than the number of the patients. So, but Dr. Miyazaki suddenly died because of an air accident of the JAL 1972 in near New Delhi. But the successor continued the JARMA activities even after this tragedy. The total number of the patients which JARMA took care was about 8 lakh. And then, so JARMA was officially handed over to India government 1976. Now it became National German Institute of Leprosy and Other Microbiotic Diseases. And Japan Leprosy Mission of Asia Germa was dissolved in 1981. So this is a kind of, continued, but anyhow. So this is a good model of the NGO government collaboration at that time, which nowadays we rarely observe nowadays. Maybe because of the many cases and popularization of these activities. We don't see much, this kind of generous government attitude.
মিটিং সব বিদেশি টিচার আছে আমাদের টিচার ক্লাসে মিটিং চলছে সবাই আমরা জয়েন করেছি
আচ্ছা আমি যাব next the Nippon Foundation is also working.
Can you mute yourself? We can see some sound. Can you please mute yourself? Hoshi-sensei, please.
Nippon Foundation is also a huge foundation and working for the same work for the same aim for leprosy or Hansen disease. This Sasagawa Foundation, and they have a subsidiary organization called Sasagawa Health Foundation. So Nippon Foundation is, since Mr. Sato is here, it's a different, this is a private family foundation or private foundation. It's different from Japan Foundation. Japan Foundation is a semi-government organization. And the Nippon Foundation, Nippon is a Japan in Japanese, but this is a private one. And they get money from boat racing, gambling. And they have huge money. Actually, Nippon Foundation is the biggest foundation in Japan to finance many things. Okay, so they donated a huge amount to India for the leprosy. But since they are raising this money from the gambling, some people regard these foundations not part of civil society or voluntary sector. So there is a different evaluation only. But anyhow, in Japan, other than these two, German and Nippon Foundation, is Murano Mirai and the Kamonohashi project, as far as I know, very actively working in India. But now most of them have also get out of India now because of the same reason. In Bangladesh, I briefly talk about Shapranir. As I say that the Bangladesh got independent in 1971, and then Christian person went to conduct a survey to Bangladesh, and Bangladesh Christian organization had a Japanese small power tiller, 300 power tillers, and they requested to Japanese Christians to send Japanese youth to use those power tillers to cultivate the land in different parts of Bangladesh. So that is why Caritas, Catholic organization, and NCC Japan, that the Protestant organization, jointly organized Bangladesh Agriculture Reconstruction Service Corps. So they sent 50 Japanese youth in 1972 for 4 months. And some of them who wanted to continue their activities, they established Help Bangladesh Committee, HBC. And then HBC now became to the Shapran in 1973 and started many different projects. But in the beginning, we have a project in Manigonj in Poira village. So this is some pictures, early days. And we started to support rural women, Shaprani, to make a handicraft and import to Japan. So this is a kind of beginning, we are initiator of the fair trade. So at present, Shapranir has a project, many projects in Bangladesh and Nepal, maybe education promotion of the vulnerable children, disaster risk reduction, rural areas, and also human rights of the working children. And now also Japan, Shapranir has started activities to support foreigners living in Japan, especially Nepalis. So basic concept of the Shapranir project also changed from help or charity, empowerment of the poor through the Shamiti. Now we are very much following right-based approach. Right-based approach is meaning that if a child is not going to school, she is a subject of the charity or assistance, but her human right was violated. So we have to recover her human right. That is the idea to analyze the phenomena that one girl is not going to school. So we have to restore her human right. So that is a basic. Now many NGOs in Japan or other countries adopted to this one. So anyhow, Shaprani has celebrated the 50th anniversary last year. In case of Nepal, Shaprani is also working, but the maybe most prominent Japanese NGO in Nepal is JOCS, Japan Overseas Christian Medical Corporation. This is quite a unique organization. They started their overseas activities, I mean, as early as 1938, before the war. At that time, China was invaded by Japan, and young Christian medical people wanted to send us a group to treat them. So that was the beginning. So, but 1958, Japan Christian Medical Association met East Asian Christian Medical Workers Conference in Hong Kong, and then they are requested to Japan to cooperate. So then the JOCS was formed and start accepting medical training in Japan, and also started to send doctors and nurses to the other countries. So Dr. Uemura went to Indonesia in 1961 and followed by Dr. Iwamura to Nepal 1962. So as I told you, 1960 is a beginning period of the Japanese NGO. And Nepal, he went to, Dr. Iwamura went to Nepal as early as 62. So he was a Hibakusha. Hibakusha means atomic bomb survivor in Hiroshima. And he was a professor, but joined this Japanese NGO, JOCS. And he joined in Nepal. At that time, I think Dr. Arjun Karuki can explain well. Nepal government was very, close to the all foreign NGOs or foreigners. So Christian organizations joined together and make a united mission of Nepal to Nepal, UMN. Most of the, Christian experts who want to work in Nepal join this organization, and at this umbrella organization, many of Japan and many foreign NGO operated summer activities. So Dr. Iwamura spent 22 years in Nepal under this umbrella, and he spread the message of tuberculosis. The tuberculosis can be cured, and he cured many people with portable X-ray machines and use carrying he carried those X-ray machines. So he laid good foundation of the developing chest medicines in Nepal, and established some private hospitals. He got the Ramon Magsaysay Award, and he also established some other NGOs still working in Japan. And also Nepal, many Japanese people really fond of Nepal. We are so much attracted by Nepal. So many Japanese tourists, mountaineers, agriculturists, environmentalists, nature lovers go to Nepal. So, and then establish small NGOs. But among those, most famous one is Mr. Toru Kondo. He was agriculturist of JICA. And after retiring from JICA, he established one-man NGO called the Nepal Mustan Region Development Corporation. And he died quite recently, but he succeeded with rice cultivation in high altitude areas. And he also introduced, cultivation of the fruits in those Mustan areas. And another guy is Mr. Aikawa Masao-san, Love Green Japan or Love Green Nepal. Love Green Japan is a Japanese NGO name, and they have a, the Love Green Nepal. So they are tandem initiating, implementing the project of rural development, livelihood improvement. He died recently, but he was introducing organic farming. So there are so many small NGOs in Nepal. That is very typical idea. In India, we don't see. Bangladesh also, we don't see much one-man NGOs. So this is the last slide. We may expect the various NGO and the people level cooperation exchange in South Asia. I mean, up to today, there is only one direction flow from Japan to South Asian countries, and contributor and beneficiary relation. I'm sure that it will become a mutual direction flow. In other words, more cultural human resource exchange will promote it instead of the present development cooperation. For instance, Bangladesh will develop in microfinance institute. So like Grameen Bank, they have also Grameen Japan. So similar thing will take the place in other cases too. And some Japanese NGO like Japanese, it was exclusively working in other countries. In case of Japan, only South Asian countries in the past, now started to take care of the foreign workers or domestic issues. So because foreign workers were not, their human right was not very respected, but they are contributing a lot to Japanese economy and social welfare. So that is why, as I said, in Japan, NGO, the border between NPO and NGO become more vague. More NGO will work with the private business too to support their due diligence of the supply chain management, following the UN guideline principle of the business and human rights and SDG. Appropriate attention and support for human rights of the vulnerable people, including destitute and working street children, handicapped, aged, refugees, etc., will be still needed in the South Asian countries, but also in Japan too. So in sum, Japanese NGO and ODA should also pay attention to the social development and welfare for the fairer distribution in rapid economic growth period to prevent enlarging the gap. Appropriate civil space or civil society space in South Asian country and Japan should be guaranteed as a kind of universal standard or universal human right. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for hearing.
Ohashi-sensei, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. I can see flaws from Satoken Sensei. It tells that how profound it was. And as I said at the beginning, that you have unmasked so many information which was unknown to many of the audience, because this is one of the areas probably has never been revealed to the public. And I'm so happy to see that people from India, Nepal, Japan, South Korea, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Thailand has also joined to the event. Now probably will have the idea about the activity of Japanese NGOs. And truly speaking, it was not known to me even as a teacher of Japanese studies, the background of Shaplanir here. And I knew that you came here, group of people came, but the way you have articulated today is wonderful. So thank you so much, and bow on behalf of me and Pan Asia Research Institute. So without further ado, we have designated discussions to talk. So first of all, I would like to request Dr. Arjun Kumar Kargi, former ambassador of Nepal to USA, President, Rural Reconstruction Nepal, and Global Coordination LDC Watch. I would like to appreciate joining of Professor Hiroshi Kato, the advisor of Pan Asia Research Institute. Sensei, thank you so much for joining. Professor Arjun Kargi, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mohan. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak to this e-seminar. First of all, okay, before I start commenting, I would like to thank Professor OHASHI-san for articulating, giving us a big picture of how Japanese aid working in South Asia, including Nepal, and through NGO. So I will be very brief. In fact, Professor OHASHI covered everything that we wanted to discuss as his keynote speech. So he made our life easier. So, but I am going to share some of my commentary, basically. Japan is one of the largest development partner in our region. And Japan is also in Asia, Asian development partner to Asian NGO, Asian civil society, and Asian citizen. One of the issues that we have noticed in channeling development aid in South Asia, perhaps this is also true in other part of the world, that Japan government prefers financing hardware, infrastructures, then people's empowerment, defending human rights, climate change adaptation and mitigation. This is one of the serious concerns that we want to share with this highly enlightened community in this e-seminar. Similarly, I also would like to share my thought with you that unlike European Union and United States, Japan government, the amount of money Japan government channel through Japanese NGO or international NGO is very small. It's basically G2G, government to government. Their support to Southern NGO, their support to, forget about Southern NGO, even Japanese NGO is very small, insignificant. This will have a direct implication in supporting people's empowerment, human rights, democracy, and good governance. What we have noticed in international advocacy work among the civil society activists, that empowerment, financing good governance, financing defending human rights, defending peace, it's very important. So this is missing in Japanese aid, in basically financing Japanese NGO and other international and Southern NGO. So basically, I would like to urge Japan government and also Japanese advocates and Japanese NGO partner to really organize themselves, do strong advocacy, so that Japanese government would really meet the international target of financing Southern NGO along the line of United Nations, 1970s United Nations commitment of 0.7% of GNI as ODA. That is very important, and significant amount of it should go through civil society organization, both Japanese and international or Southern. This is very important. We need to work as pressure group so that Japanese government also walk the talk. They are part of the all United Nations international negotiations, international commitment. They are part of the international declaration of United Nations, various declarations of United Nations. That makes international commitment to address the development challenges faced by Southern country in general, least developed country in particular, or vulnerable group of countries. That includes LDC, that is least developed country, LLDC, that is landlocked least developed country, and SEEDS, small island developing states. So Japanese government as one of the strong member of the OECD DAC, they should really focus on meeting international target and also international commitment, empowering ordinary people, civil society organizations, and human rights defenders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Karki, for your wonderful words. And you really link well with the submission of the Ambassador OHASHI. Now I would like to request Mr. Hitendra Singh. He's the team leader, the Buddha Institute, India, to make his comments. Mr. Hitendra, please.
Excuse me, Dr. Mamun, I should really apologize. I have some misunderstanding about the timing arrangement. I lose track of Japanese time and Nepal time. I have another commitment. I'm seeing high-profile political leader in a half an hour time. So I would like to, while I'll continue listening, but I would like to leave from the
The
meeting.
video. Thank you, Ambassador Karki, for your wonderful presence. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Hitendra, please.
Thank you, Mamunji. And first of all, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to you and the organizing committee for inviting me for this e-seminar. And I would also like to thank all those who are actually present here and will be actually listening patiently the deliberation. I'm really very grateful to Professor OHASHI, who has actually set the whole tone in a very positive mode. And my presentation is, maybe it's a kind of deliberation, not presentation, is a 5-7 minute discussion, particularly how a kind of Indian NGO we are and how we are actually contributing to the social development sector in a very different way. And maybe it is not very much related to the particular lines or the headlines that has been actually given to this e-seminar, that contribution of Japanese NGOs in South Asian countries. But we are definitely making some sort of contribution, which is very unique in terms of initiatives and innovations. And that may fetch attention towards having a kind of possible partnership or a collaboration if it matches to the mandates of the organization. So we are in an organization which is called Buddha Institute. We work in India, and our work is actually divided in two parts. One is basically we are focusing on creating a pool of development entrepreneurs. We are actually hiring certain promoting entrepreneurs who have that zeal to work with community, and their enterprise is actually making certain social impact. And on the other hand, we have a very unique program that is called Investing in Future Leader. This program is basically meant for the university students. And through this program, we are trying to actually nurture a kind of pool that would be actually work as a kind of supply chain for the NGOs in future. And why this program has been started, that's a very interesting thing. And that will also actually give you a kind of understanding where we are actually working and why we are working. We are also associated with a network of organizations in India, which is called RCRC. This stands for basically 100 NGOs network. And these NGOs are actually having regular deliberation and interaction with us. And they actually said to us or requested us to actually look into the core problem of the NGO sector or the NGO fraternity that we all are actually binding together, and we are trying to actually develop some sort of social impact. So you try to understand what kind of core problem is actually there with them. So we had many deliberation with them, and we came out with a very typical kind of problem that these NGOs are not able to retain the staffs, particularly the young staff, those staff who are actually recruited from market side, and they are not actually retained, not only because they are not actually giving some sort of good money, but also we have found these staffs are not well oriented before joining the NGOs. Mostly they are the staff who are actually coming directly from universities and they have 1 or 2 years of experience and they are working in the executive leadership. Then it was said, is there any program that will actually help these staff to have a kind of orientation before joining an NGO? So then we said that we cannot actually do as a kind of very open program. So we have to set a kind of catchment where we can actually play. So we decided why not to actually go to the universities, particularly those universities who are in the main supply chain kind of environment, who are actually supplying human resources to these NGOs. And then we started this program that is called Investing in Future Leader. This program is basically helping students to make a kind of informed choice before they are actually taking any decision regarding their career when they are completing their education in universities. So, and our target was like that, we have to actually pick those students who are very much interested to do certain social work and they have certain inclination towards making some impact for the society. So we have to, that's why we decided to actually launch a very exclusive program for them. Then we started with this Investing in Future Leadership program, through which we went to universities and we actually tried to actually connect with the students and try to understand why they are not able to understand what social sector is, what social sector is actually expecting from them, and what is the opportunities if a person who is completing education in university and he or she wants to actually go to social sector, what kind of opportunities are there? Normally what happens in the Indian universities, I'm not talking about the top-notch universities, I'm talking about the middle-level universities and the local universities. They actually teach students about the social development processes, but they don't include the contemporary issues and the relevant happenings that is there around their society. And that is why students are not well aware about the facts and the realities of the social development sector. So if they come out from university and then they decide to actually go to social development sector, there is no mentorship, there is no guidance. So we thought, why not to fill this gap, and we start with guiding students in university itself about the social sector reality. And guiding should not be like a lecture kind of thing. So then we decided, why not to actually create an additional pool of the young leaders who have actually created some sort of best practices, or they have actually shown their work which is actually creating impact, and bring them to the universities where students can have interaction with them. And after having this kind of interaction, students might actually come up with their own ideas. Okay, we want to do like this and we want to actually know more. So what next? Then we decided, why not to pick those kind of interested students and place them in a real situation where they can actually undergo immersion program. And that immersion program is basically a very customized immersion program in which students' interests are actually taken care of. Mentors are provided to actually help them to understand how things are actually happening, and most importantly, how they can use their expertise if they are choosing a field like social development. So once they are actually interacting with community with whom they are supposed to work, if they want to actually work in social development sector, so how to interact with them. So they learn the techniques to work with the community. At the same time, they also test their patience and their interest to whether they are made for this kind of sector or not. And after that, they are actually coming to the universities and they are actually creating a kind of environment among other students, and they are actually exchanging their knowledge. And through that, other students are actually coming up. They are saying, okay, we want to go for this kind of customized immersion kind of program. So we are having this kind of loop. We are supporting this kind of loop. And so far, we have actually developed a pool of around 2,500 students all across 21 universities, mostly in the eastern and northeastern part of India. And one critical element of this program is that universities have actually come up with their own request you are organizing this kind of program for a student. Why are you not organizing this program for the faculty? Because faculties are also needing, and they will be there for the whole maximum time to interact with the student. So you come here for a year kind of time, but faculty remains there. So you should think of developing a faculty development program where faculty should also be actually getting this kind of exposure and opportunity to learn what is happening actually in the real field area. So we have launched also the faculty development program, and apart from that, we are also thinking why not to actually expand this program of universities, and we should actually invite the students for rural immersion camps from different parts of India. And in March, we have a plan to actually start with a kind of road show for these kind of interested youth who wants to actually develop, who want to actually opt for the social development sector in India. So why not actually give them opportunity before they finally decide if they should actually go to this kind of sector. Before that, they should have that learning with working with the communities and get a kind of opportunity to the immersion program. So this program is basically creating a very positive responses from the universities. Students are actually coming up with their ideas. Okay, we want to get more information and more learning knowledge about the processes that is involved in the whole program. So for that also, we are thinking to expand this program from 10,000 students that we have actually taken target for next 2 years to 50,000 students in next 5 years program. So this is all our initiative that we are doing, and in a way we are actually contributing to our fellow community-based organization to actually get a supply chain of the human resources who are well informed, and they are actually well immersed before they are actually coming to their practical field. So retention could be actually achieved through this kind of processes also, and also we can get quality human resources who can come with kind of passion and who can come with their own interest. So this whole program is actually running, and we are expanding it, and now we are planning to have this program expanded in the western part of India and southern part of India. So that's all from my side. I don't know how much this is relevant to all of you, but I'll be very happy to actually answer any questions if you have. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Mr. Hitendru, particularly highlighting your activities to relate young students. Probably Ohashi Sensei can make comment on it, young youths. Nowadays, probably there is a shift and lack of or reluctance among the young generation to involve in the NGO activities due to the theoretically the impact of industrialization as well as the transformation of the society. Probably Ohashi Sensei can comment on this. Now I would like to open the floor for question or comment from very distinguished participants present here today. So please raise your hand, introduce yourself, and then you can make a comment or ask a question to our speaker.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Nandi.
Very good afternoon. Greetings from Keisen University, India. I'm delighted to be here as a part of PARI, as a research fellow of PARI. And thanks to Dr. Mahmood for organizing pertinent topic. I would like to ask a very simple question to Professor regarding the role of Japan government to surveillance on the different NGOs, Japan-based NGOs, which are working in South Asian countries. And is there any mechanism to control the activities of these NGOs, or is there any mechanism from Japan Foundation or various diplomatic missions of Japan in South Asia to make surveillance over the Japan-based NGOs in South Asia?
Ohashi-sensei, have you got the question?
Yeah, one, I'm not so much clear that what surveillance means and kind of control. You mean,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Nandi?
Or do you mean registration, or do you registration or bringing them under the regulation in terms of their operation? Do you mean that, Dr. Nandi?
Yes.
Okay. Ohashi-sensei, let us, we can see
Okay.
another hand. Let me have that question, then I'll
Sure.
move on to you. Professor Sharbarni Rai Chaudhary from Jawaharlal Nehru University, India.
Thank you, Professor Mamun, and I really appreciate the speakers who have turned up today to give us this wonderful evening of food for thought. What I would like initially is, what is interesting is when I saw the three presentations, I feel there is a lot of convergence are required between people who are working. From Ohashi Sensei, we got a sense of what the Japanese NGOs are working, and they're working deeply and entrenched into the system. Similarly, I heard from both Nepal and India their own stories of what has been happening and their own understanding or their own anecdotes that has originated from their work. My question, therefore, is to all three of you. Is there any kind of platforms that you people are now using to converge interest rather than working independently? Two, the other thing that came out is when Mr. Singh talked about youth involvement. While there is obviously this thing of youth not getting, not any longer feeling the urge to contribute back to the country, etc. Can these NGOs start having activities that actually ensure this kind of thing? Because there are certain women-based NGOs who are now talking about the young boys equality, so that the next generation is positively inclined towards this gender equality narrative. Can we do you think that is possible in the to involving the younger youth, rather the teens in the areas, rather than looking at doing more activity of giving rather than involving, which is now, I think, the mantra, that you involve rather than just give. So I leave that. I think we can formulate as we go along from hearing what you people have to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bernie. I would like to request you to respond to these two questions, in fact, three from two esteemed professors. Then I can see another hand. I'll go on to that later on. Ohashi-sensei, can you please answer to these three questions?
Yeah, actually, Dr. Nandi's question is about something like, Indian government is FCRA or Bangladesh government is FD control, because now government sometimes use those permission or the receiving foreign one to control certain NGOs. At least it was openly said. The government never recognized it, but they openly said that the government tried to control NGOs, certain NGOs, which is not so much found of. It was disliked by government. But in Japan, we don't have that kind of control itself. But we have to, as I told you, that we have a very poor culture of donation. So we have to rely on the government money, while some donors also give some money. But again, as Dr. Arjun mentioned, government doesn't like to give fund the project or advocacy, but only for so-called social development, but not really empowerment from the poor, and more infrastructures. And also, as Dr. Arjun mentioned, percentage of the ODA money to NGO in Japan was very meager in comparison with European or American countries. So we don't have a direct control, but indirect, we have to listen, or we have a tendency to to make a project more, which is more, liked by our government, donor agency. So this is not, advocacy is not, of course, accepted by them. So in that way, we may have a kind of indirect control, but no direct control that we should not do this and that. That kind of control we don't have. Okay, second question, Professor Dr. Roy Chaudhary. If I understand that correctly, we have a, network of Asian NGOs, civil society network. The Civicus is one of those global networks, which I give it to you now. Other is Asian Development Alliance. This Asian Development NGO Alliance, if I say correctly. And India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and South Korea are major member of this alliance. Okay, so they are not well established. They are also facing the financial problems. So they have very small office, but this try to make more, orchestrated, collaborated voice to the global tendency. So Civicus is a global network, and the other is Asian network of NGOs for development. This is one of the answer. So we should create more and more, issue-wise or general-wise. We should make a more strong network. I fully agree. And the young people, this is maybe partial answer to the Hitendra-ji, that Japan's also young people are not attracted to the NGO or even NPOs. Now they are attracted to more social entrepreneurs or technical cooperation, which may change the dimension, So still some certain number of the young people has an interest on social side, but not necessarily to the NGOs, but more, as I said, the technical changes, technical revolution, if we like to say. So that is a tendency. Maybe we should consider about, as Hitendra mentioned, that the faculty, change of faculty. I am a kind of first generation professor the university from NGO world in Japan. So that kind of change maybe have to take. I don't know how much I can answer.
No. Well articulated, Sensei. I can see two hands.
I also add?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
One very pertinent questions Professor Sharbani has actually raised. How is there any platform through which we are actually having other actors also to come together and they are also making impact of that? So of course, that kind of things are actually happening, and we also understand that this kind of work cannot be done alone. So we have a kind of coalition which is called RCRC. That RCRC stands for Responsible Coalition for the Resilient Communities. That is a kind of organization that was actually established in COVID time, but now it has been converted, and around 100 CBUs are there who are actually part of that. So our program is actually helping these NGOs, so taking help of these NGOs to actually create a kind of impact among the students. Students are placed in these NGOs and they are immersed through their program, and they themselves are actually finding a space if they can go and work over there. And as you rightly said, organizations like Udyogini or Pradhan, who is very much working on the gender issues. And I'll just give you an example. The Banaras Hindu University in Varanasi, the gender is actually undergoing a very exclusive immersion with these kind of NGOs. And in turn, these NGOs are actually asking these students to come forward and join our organization and do your work, whatever your interest is. So in that way, we are actually working through this coalition, through that platform.
Thank you, Mr. Hitendra. First, I would like to go to Farhan. Can you please introduce yourself and ask your question? Then I'll go to Professor Ali Reza.
Thank you for the floor, sir. I'm a student of Japanese studies at Dhaka University, 5th batch. Sir, my question is directed towards Ohashi sensei. First of all, applause for such a thorough analysis and thoughtful findings. My question is, will Sensei agree that one of the reasons for decreasing Japanese NGOs in South Asia may be the increasing activity of Chinese aids and NGOs in the region, hence the decreasing poverty as well? Thank you.
Ohashi, have you got the question?
Yeah, because of the
Chinese, yeah. So we'll come to that. Professor Ali Reza, please. Reza
Thank
Sensei.
you, Dr. Mamun. I congratulate Ohashi Sensei for the thorough presentation. And my question to Ohashi Sensei, yeah, we found from your presentation that the number of the Japanese NGOs working in South Asia is declining. And this is mostly because of the domestic, political, and socio-economic compulsions of the respective countries. At the same time, as we know, Japan has recently adopted a revised development cooperation charter. So what sort of impact this revised ODA is going to make upon NGO activities of Japan? Thank you very much.
Just to add Ohashi Sensei with Reza Sensei, I'm sorry being the moderator taking the opportunity. Can you please also relate to that Japan's new 4 visions? On the one hand, new ODA charter, NGO activities, and free and open Indo-Pacific strategy to be materialized. So can you please respond to these 3 questions? First Farhan, then Professor Reza and me.
Okay. Thank you very much for asking those very interesting questions. That is a good study for me. I don't think the presence or emergence of the Chinese NGO is influencing the Japanese NGO activities or size of NGO activities. Japanese ODA is very much influenced with especially Chinese, One Belt, One Road initiative. That is huge investment in many countries, and Japan government also try to invest huge money to Bangladesh, India, which was just very periodic, short time phenomena. I'm afraid. But anyhow, in terms of the reduction of NGO is not affected with the Chinese reasons. I don't think so. The second question is that Professor Reza's. Okay, yeah, I mean, anyhow, the development charter also mentioned that the national interest is most important, and we are very much against that. We don't think that what is how you define national interest, yeah, and then they only talk. I mean, Japanese government only talk about economic development, economic cooperation or trade. That is why this topic of this today's presentation was social development. It was totally gone. So this is answer to both of you that the most serious problem of Japanese MOFA or Japanese ODA professionals, they don't have a strong understanding of the value of the social development. I was a kind of expert of this ODA charter amendment in the last time, not this time. I was one of the 7 or 8 experts selected by government. And I argued and strongly argued that the embassy, JICA, as well as MOFA should have a section of the social development. If you go to Japanese embassy, in Dhaka or Delhi, they have a group of economic cooperation, group of political issues, group of cultural exchange, but they don't have any group of social issues. So they don't have an idea how, and they cannot. That is why they cannot value the importance of social development. That is why we NGO also affected that, because the government also gives the money, JICA also gives the money to NGOs. They give only tangible, easy understanding, so-called social development, not empowerment or bottom-up things. So that is maybe structural problem or weakness of Japanese ODA or Japanese administration system per se. That can be also said in a domestic issue too. So this is maybe quick answer.
No, thank you so much, Ohashi Sensei. I would like to seize the opportunity of the presence of Sato Kan Sensei. I know he's an eminent sociologist and also the president of the Japanese Society for International Development. And Kato Sensei, you know, as I am here, I can't let you go in such an enlightened gathering. May I please request you to make some comment reflecting on your friend's presentation?
Thank you very much. And first of all, congratulations that this PARI's conference is very, very good. I'm very happy to see that this the active conversation about the social development in Japan. I just agree with Dr. Professor Ohashi that many people who are related on that ODA never have an interest in social development. They may have the interest is economic development. And as a development sociologist, I'm now doing the kind of comparative study on social development studies in Asia. See, I did the research that all of the South Asian countries and the universities, the textbook on social development, mostly copied by Western countries. So we don't have original Asian social development textbooks. So we should have some. And that is one of the concern that this kind of the activity is very good and to share our experience, knowledge, and knowledge creation among Asian countries. And I think that this is a very, very good chance for this kind of the activities. And to add one more thing, the end of the February, I'd go to the Kathmandu, and I will have the seminar on the social development theories from Asia. So I'd like to invite you to join this kind of activity. Thank you for the Marwan-san. Thank you.
Thank you, Kato Satokan Sensei. I took the opportunity of your presence. I don't see any hand, and just respecting the Japanese way of doing things, I would like to conclude. But if there is anyone, this is the last call to make any brief comment or question to Ohashi Sensei. Oh yeah, but Dr. Him, please. The final one.
Very good afternoon, everybody. Namaste from Nepal, Kathmandu. It's my pleasure. I'm not just going to comment or ask questions, but just give some of my notes about the presentation done by Professor Ohashi. Thank you so much. You have brilliantly presented the overview of Japanese NGOs. They have been working in Nepal and their history and these all the things. Definitely, Japanese NGOs, when they can support in various ways, they have been supporting various ways in Nepal. That is the, for us, that is the learning experience for us, and then the collaboration and resources sharing. So they have been supporting in Nepal in like developmental projects, capacity building, cultural and educational exchanges, disaster preparedness. The thing that which is common in Nepal and Japan, where our country is also very prone for the earthquake and these are the thing, and health issue, environmental issues. So for this all, our speaker from Nepal also, Dr. Karki already spoke about it. And definitely the expertise and learning from Japan, it will be helpful, beneficial for not only for Nepal, for the South Asian region, with their technology, with their expertise, with their sharing the knowledge and these all the things. So for organizing this special session, the e-seminar, PARI, especially Dr. Mamun, all the credit goes to you all. Thank you so much, and for providing me for short notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Him. We have a comment, Ohashi Sensei, in the chat box. Let me read for you. I am Rama Bhadra, Nara Japan Hub, Hyderabad. We are an NGO focusing on promoting Indo-Japan relations. I request Japanese government as well as Indian government to recognize NGOs and support activities of NGOs so that activities can reach better to the public while winning public confidence. We, Nara Japan Hub, is working with a unique theme of India-Japan relation, and I would like to know if there are any other sister NGOs in similar areas And if there are any of Japanese government or PARI collaboration can collaborate with us. Thank you so much. Thank you and us as well. So do you know any Japanese organization working in Hyderabad, OHASHI-sensei?
Not particularly. I cannot give answer immediately. I have to check.
Okay.
Maybe, Japan Foundation, Sato-san is here. He may know the answer.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me conclude today's seminar. I think, as I said at the beginning, that perhaps many Japanologists sitting here, professors sitting here, whom are my colleagues, and we know each other for many years, but I never attended this kind of NGO-related seminar. Thereby, when I was in Japan, I requested OHASHI-sensei, and with the permission and support of my PARI board of directors, we agreed. And so grateful to you to have you today. And you have really made a wonderful presentation. And I think, as I said, that many academics sitting here who have learned a lot and really armored enough to refer some of the NGO activities of Japan in our classes in future. Thank you so much, OHASHI-sensei. I know you can speak many days on this topic. This is your passion. You are the guy or person in Japan about talking when it comes to the discussion of Japanese NGOs. Thanks to Mr. Hitendra for your kind presence, particularly in a very short notice, and for supporting your arrangement. For Shravanira Chaudhary, thank you so much for your support to having Mr. Hitendra. Thanks to Ambassador Arjun Karki for your time. Although you have miscalculated the Nepal and Japanese time, but thanks for joining and talking to us today. I would also like to thank Mr. Kato, Director General of Japan Foundation of India. I already said the Sato Kan Sensei, thank you so much for your presence. I can see that Arisha-san from PIC India, thank you for your presence as well. Alvi Reza Sensei, thank you for making your time. I have seen Hiroshi Kato Sensei join from International University of Japan, who is the Vice Chancellor, also the Dean of International University of Japan. I have seen that from the Madras Consul General Office, Tarekao-san, you have joined us today. Thank you so much. And then I would like to thank all the PARI fellows from different countries, Professor Joan from South Africa, South Korea, Seoul National University, Mr. Karma Wangdi from Center of Bhutan Studies, Dr. Him from Nepal, Professor Debashish Nandi from Kazi Nazrul University, Professor Shravanira Chaudhary from Jawaharlal University. But of course, particular thanks to my board of directors. First credit goes to the chairman. With his encouragement and support, we're able to organize this kind of event, and we'll continue this. Two vice presidents present here, Mr. Tarek Rafi Bhuya Jun and Tomoko Uchiyama. Thank you for your time and effort to make this event a success. And of course, we have another director present here, Okabashi Sensei. Thank you so much for your presence. And we are indebted to all the participants today, particularly students from India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and some other countries. And your presence will encourage us to organize more out-of-the-box seminar titles and events in future, so that which you traditionally do not experience. So thank you so much. And we look forward to see you again in our next endeavor sometime very soon. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
OHASHI-sensei, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。Thank you very much,
ありがとうございまし
OHASHI-sensei.
た。ありがとうございました。失礼いたしました。
ありがとうございました。
またよろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。お体お気をつけください。
はい、ありがとうございます。